Hey, everybody. So, our Dark to Light series has looked at this concept of light versus dark and how that applies in our life, how we see the world through those lenses in a lot of different ways. But Jennifer, this Sunday, she brought a message that really brought it home to us personally about how God takes us from dark to light, out of darkness and into the light. And the thing is, he does that, of course, at our salvation when we give our life to Jesus. But, throughout our Christian walk, there are many, many times and opportunities that the Lord seizes to reveal something to us about ourselves that he wants to talk to us about: a sin, a habit, an attitude, a mindset. And because when we get saved, not everything about our soul, man, comes into the light, okay? We don't walk in the light fully immediately. So just like when Lazarus was raised from the dead, he was raised with grave clothes still on. And Jesus said, okay, everybody, help him take the grave clothes off. Help him remove the trappings of death now that he is now brought back to life. So every one of us has those trappings of death, the grave clothes, and that requires a process that we call sanctification. And so the idea of transformation in our lives happens a layer at a time. Not everything gets taken care of at once. So what she taught was how God takes this part of our life or another part of our life and brings that part from dark to light, and really makes us more like Jesus in the process, right? So she started out her message with this saying, he says, a great song, right? He says, "Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was blank, but now I'm blank." So fill in those blanks for yourself. What were you once that God came to you and said, hey, we need to fix this. We need to work on this. That area of your life is in darkness. I want to bring that into the light. And he does that over and over again. And hopefully each one of us will have several different answers to those fill-in-the-blank questions, where at one point in my life, God worked on this. On another part of my life, God worked on another thing, right? Selfishness or anger or anything. So we're talking tonight about those instances where something in my life, some part of me was in darkness, but God took me through an experience or a process or a combination of both, where he brought that into the light. And because darkness and light can't coexist together. So the problem is that light invades and drives out all darkness. They can't be together. And she gave examples of like mustard seeds and how mustard seed is a plant that outcompetes, or that it invades and it overtakes, like yeast. A little bit of yeast gets in there and it overtakes. So that's what the kingdom of God is like. That's what the light of God is like in our lives. Jesus will not accept you sharing the house with him and the devil. Okay, so think about the times where God has done that for you. Maybe it goes all the way back to your salvation experience or your early days in Christianity. Or maybe, you've been on the journey for a while now, and you can chart different times where God has said, hey, let's deal with this now. And you're like, Lord, I thought we had been dealing with things, aren't we done yet? But we're never done, right? We're never done. So there's always a part of us that can be more free. There's always a part of us that can have more light. There's always a part of us that can be more like Jesus, right? So let's open up today and share about those experiences and be honest. Say, yeah, this was the part of me that was in darkness. And here's the process that God took me through. And sometimes it's painful. Sometimes it takes a while. And so you have to be patient, and you have to endure some hard changes in your life. Because maybe a relationship, or maybe a job, or maybe whatever habits that I was involved in, or a place that I used to go to, that God said, no, separate yourself from that. No, you got to detach, or you have to stop that completely. So whatever that is for you, talk about that. Open up, because somebody else might need to hear that tonight. And let's encourage each one of us by our own stories of being brought from darkness into light, so that others can benefit and really have the guts and the courage to submit to the same kind of process, though it may be painful sometimes and though it might take a while.